Hi everyone, we want to present you two spatial cases that apply the same logic used to develop self-driving cars and cobots. The first case is the implementation of the Navile House of Health in Bologna, Italy, while the second one is the redesign from scratch of an existing building, the FIDAB in Milan.
Thanks to a team composed of ILAB and CIO Gruppo, we redesigned a complex space where interactions were complex. The word complex comes from the Latin complexum, that is, with knots, which means that you have to solve users' problems, dissolve the knots.
And in this regard, the skills of a team that works in a complex context should be transdisciplinary as opposed to mono-multidisciplinary skills that are useful for simple context, and to interdisciplinary skills that works for complicated contexts.
A house of health is designed to follow long-term needs, unlike a hospital that serves during the period of acute treatment and a clinic that serves to do intraday examinations. Due to the duration of the disease, people attending a house of health are assisted by a team that takes care of all their needs, from strictly medical to those of their well-being.
Yes, and for example, the users may be elders with neurodegenerative diseases or pregnant women. The working team comprises different kinds of doctors, as well as psychologists, patients advocates, and social workers. The team can only partially imagine the treatment dynamics and interactions beforehand. So the team approach should consider bounded rationality logics and agile model of implementation based on user journey.
Let's take the user journey of a young pregnant woman. The House of Health checks in the person thanks to the geolocation services activated by the app, alerting the reception and the team to her arrival. At reception, foreign people who need it are assisted by an automatic translator, while during the visit with the specialist, any signs of particular modes are received to improve the quality of the relationship. After the meeting, the specialist shares the relevant observations with the team, supported by a transcription system that also updates the patient's health record. Finally, the House of Health continues to be accessible with the team to provide patient care at home.
And Giuseppe, is this project working well?
This prototype was operational only during the 3 days of After Digital Future event in fall 2019. Today, a simplified version of the app has been developed and will be implemented in several houses of health. The main lesson learned concerns the ability to limit the entropy of the project, setting a clear perimeter of the user journey. A complex process goes beyond a single place And it's important to set where you need to start adopting and onboarding the user and when to stop. We use it the 3-2-1-go approach, where you have to assign 3 parts of your available time to dream, 2 parts to design, and 1 to deliver. Dream big, design fast, and deliver simple. Then reiterate, giving life to a new part of your dream with an agile approach.
And it seems to me that team members should have both technical and humanistic skills, and that the team selection should look for open-minded people and positive critical thinking.
You are right. And we learned the importance of alternating leadership during the project development. You need to assign a fixed driving time to multiple people in a relay program.
And I would also add the need for transparency and sharing on all activities involving reciprocity and altruism. So now let's move on to the second case study, the FIDAB in Milan.
With eLab, Il Prisma and Microsoft, we tried to design a chaotic space whose interaction dynamics are determined by context. The word chaos comes from the Greek chaos, wide open, referring to the fact that in these spaces you have to help decide, decidere, cut.
And the team that works on the design of a chaotic space need a strong flair for experimentation, designing for disobedience, challenging the theoretical basis of reference to try to go beyond the boundaries of disciplines, so being ultradisciplinary. This is a concept that deserves attention. We will come back to it during this presentation.
FeedHub was born as a digital platform for employability, which is the ability to remain future-proof of work. Signing upon on the platform means agreeing to provide assessment data on your skills and aptitudes to allow you to cross them with labor market data and receive suggestions on emerging professions to evaluate which people to meet with, which readings to privilege, or which events to participate at. Physical space has been designed in the same way, with facial recognition systems that allow access to restricted areas where you can perform AI-assisted assessment, find out which people you are meeting or which events to attend, thanks to the same recommendation engine of the digital platform.
Further, the experience is designed as a conversation that constantly evolves as the information and data change, facilitating interactions between people thanks to a transaction engine that considers people, documents, and events as contents. A chatbot follows people on their journey, mediating with professionals and mentors, learning about people's motivation and interests, and suggesting new contents and interactions. So the chatbot evolves and also evolves its relationship with users.
Use of motion and listening sensors, directing room for multimedia production, live and post, of everything that is done within the space. App digital interface, custom screens and video projections, modular spaces, opening or retractable furnishing and structures, interlocking desks, changing shape and functionality. Use of proprietary algorithms and machine learning thanks to user-generated data.
But is the FeedHub really working like this?
Unfortunately, only in part, because we had not yet learned the lesson we want to share with you today. For example, the importance of attracting undisciplined talent around a visionary commitment. Only in this way it is possible to design at zero gravity, nullifying the force of habit and discovering new nanodegrees.
It also sounds crucial to keep the same team with no hands-off from concept to execution, like the Fellowship of the Ring, where they have to accomplish the feat all together, so that there's no separation between theory and practice.
Another lesson is the need to continuously adapt and modify the project in search of a useful result. You have to adopt the lean startup approach, developing an MVP, a minimum viable place, first testable, then usable, finally lovable.
and also to involve platform space managers who should be trained in continuous conversation design and in user experience psychology.
At this point, we put enough stuff on the table to try to formulate a thought about this approach.
As we have tried to do by means of the examples presented by Giuseppe and Beatrice, we want to tell you something about the capability of technology that today opens up new possibilities for designing and constructing buildings that are increasingly phygital, that is digital and physical, that is made of bits and atoms. On the basis of what we have discussed, we could say that phygital buildings can capture people while they inhabit the place, can automate processes and decrease the amount of people mediation required, can empower human behaviors, making human-machine interaction more natural and multimodal. And from the point of view of both their structure and functioning, highlight their nature as true interfaces. Interfaces for doing, interfaces for transforming, but above all, for encouraging participation. One of the main psychosocial consequences of the use of phygital environments for leisure or work purposes is that they tend to enhance the modes of interaction between subjects and places, as well as between subjects and subjects. The possibility of having, for instance, augmented reality device, as the one that you can see represented in the slide, allows to give rise to real augmented interactions, which results, as Del Signore and Reither said, in the creation of constructive and provocative relations between people and places. In addition to the enhancement of interaction and its consequent growth, at least potentially, also in qualitative terms of relation, I should say, one must also observe and emphasize what may be considered a perhaps unattended and unexpected consequence of the digitization of space. I'm referring to the fact that, as Ratti and Claudel have observed, but as our research group also happened to notice in these last years, all this leads to an increase in people's need for interaction. An interaction that brings into play three fundamental elements in the definition of every combinatorics of interaction. And I'm referring to atoms, bits, and words. In this sense, we can say that what makes the ultra places interesting for all the professionals we have evoked in the course of our intervention and who have actually worked on the projects presented is the fact that they are real psychosocial realities made up of a continuous intertwining of conversation. They are realities in which specific activities of the human species, such as listening, interpreting the discourse of the other, structuring action consistent with such listening and interpretation, facilitated, supported, and enhanced by phygital technologies, can give rise to a never-ending dialogue.
To realize a phygital building, a team in charge of designing this building is needed. This team can be called Ultra Team. On the basis of what my colleagues said when they illustrated the examples, the Ultra Team can be defined as a team that comprises professionals, including academics, with various disciplinary bases, who adopt an ultra-disciplinary perspective. In other words, these professionals upset the logic of chaos in their project that pushes them to going beyond disciplinary boundaries and continuously experimenting in order to achieve the project's ultimate aim. So now, I'm going to illustrate the Ultra Team's characteristics in terms of hard skills and technical knowledge and soft skills. Regarding the hard skills and technical knowledge, the Ultra Team's professionals accept chaos. It means that they care not at all where knowledge comes from. They master nanodegrees. Consequently, they are curious and attend nanodegrees to add bits of knowledge from disciplines to which they do not pertain to. Finally, the Ultra Team's professionals have an attitude to experimenting outside disciplinary boundaries. Instead, regarding soft skills, the Ultra Team professionals could be described as open-minded people. They exercise positive and critical thinking, follow a shared leadership, and adopt a collaborative attitude. These professionals learn from each other, listen to each other, accept partial failures and dead-end explorations, are absolutely enthusiastic about random discoveries, are aware of the fact that mediated interaction permeates all the project's elements and processes, and can introduce and follow novel practices. In conclusion, Carlo, how can Ultra Team exercise the aforementioned skills and knowledge?
Thank you, Ilaria, for this, I could call it a great and critical question that lies at the very bottom, I should say, of our work, but is also a sort of referring points to which we have to try to look for and to address all our strength in the future. I would try to answer to this critical question referring to two words: intercomprehension and intersubjectivities. As far as intersubjectivity is concerned, I should say that this means to try to build social platforms that can enable effective interaction aligned with an intersubjective context, a real intersubject context. To go back to what Giuseppe said in the very beginning, at the very beginning of our today's talk, we could say that we want to give a more practical answer to your question, Ilaria. We could say that what is important today in this field of design and making of buildings, devices, but also relationships, we need to bring together undisciplined talent around visionary clients.